Okay, I think we are live. Yep, we are. Oh, perfect. All right, we sound good on YouTube. We're looking good. Okay. Hello and welcome to John the Beagle Dad. Hi, good to see you. Welcome and thanks for being here. And hello, happy Saturday evening to Molecular Arts. Good to see you. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. And Rod Thunderheart is going to be joining me here momentarily. And there's Max Redstone. Hello, Max, and welcome. Butters, yes. Butters. Everyone knows it's Butters. Love it. Yes. All right. Rod is supposed to be joining me here. And boy, a lot is going on all over. Yeah, lots going on in Canada and all over the place. And hey, one fast stack. Hey, man. Hello and welcome. And let's just make you blue. No obligation with that, of course. We just want to see how many YouTube will let me put in there. Yeah, good morning. And hey, good to see you, man. And I've checked out your channel too. I've subbed to yours. So that is awesome. And I want to say hello, Max. Yeah, I want to type swears. I get it, man. So do I. Yep. I also, I try. I was in one chat, a Northern Perspective, and I typed honk 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 with exclamation point, like the Freedom Convoy, right? Wouldn't let me type it. Would not let me type honk 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 because apparently that's a political statement. Hey, Greek letters. Hello, guten Morgen, Kameraden. Good to see you, and thanks and welcome for being here. Skull of Calderon's minion. Hi, welcome to you, and I want to say hi, Rob Altus. Listen, Rob Thunderheart is going to be joining me here at any time, and I think we've got a lot going on in the exactly. Okay, it let you, but try it in caps because I was in a political stream, Northern Perspective, excellent Canadian channel, and I had it all in caps, and they wouldn't let me type it, which is that's another thing, man. Censorship, holy shit! So I was hearing that. Yeah, I'm never going to be monetized. There's no way YouTube is going to let me be monetized. So I don't have any rules about typing swears, or if someone wants to say Nazi, that's fine. I highly doubt YouTube is ever going to monetize some of my content. I'll have to delete all of it in order to get monetized. I don't know what that is. That's not English, Molecular Arts, and it isn't Japanese, and it isn't French, and it isn't Spanish, and that exhausts my limit of the languages. I have no. I don't even can't even read that. It's not English. And yeah, hey, you're welcome. One fast act. You're welcome for the wrench. And actually, the fellow that's joining me is up in Edmonton as well. Rod Thunderheart is in Edmonton, Canada, Alberta, and so he's going to be joining me. So selective censorship. That's right, Rob Altus. And I've heard that now. Get this, Elon Musk. Whether you think that he's a supervillain, evil genius, or not, and that might prove to be true in the future. We'll see. However, one thing is for sure that he has sacrificed a lot financially and politically, and sponsorships and so forth. He has fought for free speech. So regardless of whatever else he does fight for free speech. And yeah, YouTube does not like the truth. We know that. And now I've seen that. I've seen that Meta or Facebook, Meta, the parent company, Zuckerberg is trying real hard to sort of be like Elon Musk all of a sudden, eh? Now that the pandemic is over, and now that all the Facebook censorship and all the basic straight out censorship and false information that Meta and Facebook has promoted, now Zuckerberg is, he's got he's dressing like Elon, he's got the haircut with the cool kids now. He's trying to be like pretend like he's a champion of free speech. No, we're not talking. Well, we're talking about Mark Zuckerberg. I think he's trying to. It seems like he's trying to copy Elon, and hoping that we don't remember how much censorship Facebook had the other, all through the pandemic, for the last 4 or 5 years at least. So, regardless, absolutely, Tygerstripes. Heck yeah, absolutely. Come on up. I'll send you a link right in on X, and I'll send it to you right now. Absolutely, come on up. Rod's supposed to be here, and it was supposed to be him and I. But if he's not around, I'd absolutely like to send you one. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. You know, Mark Zuckerberg. Your time to stand up for free speech was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You can't come after all the censorship and all the misinformation that Facebook promoted. You can't come now pretending to be the good guy. Now, Elon, like I said, like I just finished saying, Elon might be a crazy son of a bitch. He might be an evil genius, an evil super mind, super villain. But if he's promoting free speech in the way that he has been, that's enough to until he does something to prove otherwise. That's enough to give me at least some confidence in his authenticity, I suppose. There's free speech is absolutely crucial, and this is something that I think Rod and I were going to get into. Is a lot of okay, so now that Trump has sort of he is an excellent regard, and I don't agree with a lot of what Trump says. However, I do appreciate that he is excellent at memes, and he is fantastic with the memes. And bringing Elon on board, I think that it's going to be a good thing for free speech. And now he's really trolling Trudeau hard, and I don't think Trudeau knows. And some of the premiers of Canada and some of the top officials in Canada, they don't realize that Trump is trolling them, and they're taking it serious, and they're like ready to fight Trump. And it's like, oh God, you're falling for it. He's trolling you. And Trudeau takes himself so seriously that he falls for trolling all the time. And I'd like to welcome to the stage, it's Tygerstripes. Hello, Tygerstripes.
Hey, Canadian Spider-Man. I wish I knew what to call you for short. CSM.
Oh, Steve. My first name's Steve. You know that. You can call me
Steve?
Steve. That's
Okay,
fine. That's just
Steve.
fine. And thanks for
Hey,
joining me, Tygerstripes. I appreciate
hey.
it.
Yeah, no,
And
this is pretty fascinating what's going on lately.
it is, and I just wanted to have a small panel. I mean, I'd like to do an open panel with a whole bunch of people later on, but right now, just so that we're not talking over each other, yourself and Rod, whenever Rod shows up, he's got the keys. Yeah, what do you think? I mean,
Okay.
have you noticed that the Canadian leaders are completely falling for
Oh,
Trump's trolling?
oh
They're
no,
falling
no,
for
no.
it.
My favorite guy is Polevra.
Polyev, yeah, Pierre
Polyev. Oh my
Polyev,
God, have
yeah,
you
Polyev.
seen the apple eating video?
Of course, he's a
God,
rock
that is
star.
just the best thing ever. It's so
Yeah.
satisfying. I've
What?
watched it at
Who's
least
saying
five
this?
times now.
Yeah. What people? Well, you're the one
Yeah.
saying it. You must know someone.
And he's just so calm and zen-like while
He
he's shooting
is. He
back at that
really
liberal
is.
reporter trying to
Yep.
pepper him. And he just unhinges that guy. It's just the best thing ever.
It isn't, and I don't know for our American friends or international friends. I know Sashi comes in here from Asia. I don't know if they're aware, but the Canadian media is largely funded by our government. It is, by definition, it is state-funded media. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and I downloaded their budget. I have their budget on my laptop. I've gone over it. They get 71% of 70%, let's call it, of their funding from the Canadian government. I mean, is that not state sponsorship media if you're getting paid by the government?
Well, I mean, we have PBS here in the States, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that until
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, at some point they were nothing but government funding. And
Yep.
I think they're really
Similar.
relying now on contributions from the public. And I think that when it comes to public
Mm,
television, I'm okay if it receives some government funding. That seems appropriate to me. If they're making content that anybody can enjoy, the problem is that they frequently put that curve, that spin on it. But, I mean, this isn't just all
that's
media. This is just, public television.
yep.
And a person can learn from public television. It can be very valuable to people, particularly people from lower economic backgrounds who maybe aren't
Hmm.
getting the attention that they need from their family. If a show like Sesame Street teaches them how to read, that's worth the price of admission right there, I think. But
Oh,
anyway, I,
I grew up with Sesame Street, absolutely. But a lot of that comes from donations. I remember the pledge, the telethons all the time for public funding.
yeah, it does
I,
now, but it used to be that it was a lot of tax money, and they've
back when
changed that. They've changed that.
Well, CBC. I mean, I've been listening to CBC. My dad would have it on for almost 50 years now, and they used to be. I believe they used to be nonpartisan and presenting the facts in a neutral way, and it was good education. And it used to be that the CBC would give you entertainment from Canadian entertainers that you couldn't get anywhere else back when it was expensive to produce entertainment, and that made sense. But Pierre Polyev is saying now that Canadian entertainers anyone in the world can put out content for just a few $100s on an iPhone, and he's not a fan of the way CBC has been completely partisan over the last probably 10 or 15 years now, and it's very obvious. Yeah, I think that if the Canadian people want the CBC, they should contribute to it. They should help fund it, and of course, some federal money. They should apply for some funding, but certainly not 70% of their budget. Well, we see the result. They defended incredible incredible positions by the government that were just undefendable, and yet somehow they managed to defend them.
Yeah,
That,
when I was living in Los Angeles, there was a local station that was almost entirely Canadian content. And I did get the feeling that the Canadian government was happy to throw money at just about anybody who would meet their standards for content. I know that SCTV used to get Canadian money just because
yes,
of, is it the Great North? Is that
the
the
Great White North.
the Great
Yeah,
White North? That's just because of that segment, they got their
yep,
share of the pie, which is pretty
that's right.
hilarious to think about.
Yeah, and now that I mean, if the movie is still making money, they Bob and Doug McKenzie came out and made a movie. Um, so that's that was a huge profit for them. So yeah, I'd like to see. And of course, PBS showed all the British comedies. We got it from. I grew up in New Brunswick,
Yeah.
so we got it from Maine, from Bangor, Maine. The English comedies were fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, if they
but
hadn't been on PBS, I certainly would have never been able to watch Monty
that's
Python
right.
or
Yep,
Doctor
Red
Who back in the
Dwarf.
day.
Yep. So Rob Altus says the Zuckster is afraid he will be raked through the coals, and he will be because they have documents showing that he colluded with the American government to censor to regulate what they showed the American
Well,
people.
the American government has been censoring pretty much all forms of media for the
Hmm.
last 4 years,
Yep,
and
and
maybe
Canada
even
too.
longer than that.
Yep.
And I like that he's going public with that. You know, it's kind of late in the game, but
Yeah, it is very late.
he could just keep his mouth shut, couldn't he? You know, and
I
say
don't know that
nothing.
he could. I think they've got enough now that he's going to jail. If he like I think he's trying to stay out of
Do
jail.
you go to jail if you're following the directions of the federal government?
I
That
think, yeah.
doesn't seem like you should.
Well, I think so. Yeah,
You know,
if you know
that's
what you're doing is immoral and wrong, yeah.
immoral is not illegal.
Well,
Wrong is not
okay.
illegal. And
No,
since he is
true.
Zuckerberg, he's kind of the guy who's making the rules as he goes along because he's the person who put this together to
Well,
begin
we'll
with.
find
It's
out.
like being Steve Jobs, you
Hmm.
know. Um,
We'll
it's
find
the
out if he
golden
broke.
rule. He who's got the gold makes the rules, and that's the
Well,
old
that
one.
is exact. That is
But
exactly the all. Yeah, that's always been the case. Yeah.
yeah, but
Would you mind
like
reading?
sure,
Oh, go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead and
Oh
finish,
no,
and
no,
then if you
you
wouldn't
you
mind
read
reading.
that one. You read that one.
Oh, okay. Greek letter says, if Karl Marx lived today, he would write that social media is the new opium of the people. Yeah, you're probably right. It is absolutely. Just everyone's going around looking at a screen, right?
That's one thing that amazes me too. I do have friends and relations on Facebook who are screaming about Zuck's
Right?
speech. I don't get it at all. I haven't
Huh?
listened to the whole thing,
No,
but
neither have I.
he's certainly kind of measured. And the worst thing that he's done is to say that I did this under the duress of the federal government, and yet they're saying well, you don't use his any platform that he pays for. You need to abandon everything immediately. You need to get
Wow.
out. Yeah, they are.
Because they're
And
opposed to free speech.
I have no idea why they are
Pube Freud.
losing it, but they're really going nuts though. I'm quite shocked.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Rob,
Rob
I
Alpert says he
expect that
needs to
Zuck
prove it.
can
Yes.
prove it, or he wouldn't
Yep.
be coming forth. I suspect he's got
Yep.
his ducks and paperwork in a row.
Yep. Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah. Oh, hey, it is FKHC, and it is
Oh.
now your 43rd
You
birthday.
are no longer the answer. You are the answer
No,
plus one. Happy birthday.
happy birthday, indeed. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you're in another time zone, aren't you? You're a couple hours ahead of me. FKHC2. So yeah, congratulations. Happy birthday.
Oh, look at Scogli. I haven't seen him forever.
Oh, hey, Stokely's in the chat. It is, and definitely we're gonna turn you blue, my friend. No obligation is there. We're just gonna see how much YouTube is gonna let us do. There you go. Yeah. What do you think about? What do you think about how Trump is saying that he's going to buy Canada or take us over?
And is
And
it Greenland or Iceland that he wants? I think it's
Greenland.
Iceland he wants, isn't it?
No, it's Greenland. It's the
Mm.
bigger one, and
Mm.
because it belongs to Denmark right now, and apparently he stirred up controversy because there's some people in Greenland that actually would like to join the states, so they're kind of examining. Same as Canada, it has stirred up a lot of people in Canada who are saying, a stronger relationship with the Americans is a good idea.
Well, one thing though, just because America buys you doesn't mean you get to be a state.
Well,
And I think
yeah,
that's
Puerto
kind of the
Rico.
way, yeah, I think that the magic number is 50, and I just don't think
Hmm.
we're ever going to go past that.
Hmm.
51, 52 just sounds clunky, doesn't it? How are you going to get all those stars on the flag? I think it's going to stay at
Yeah.
50. So I don't really know what his intentions are at
No,
all.
no, well,
He's
uh,
other than that he's just, making a fuss the way he
he's
does.
he's just trolling Trudeau, and it's funny that how serious Trudeau is taking it. Now there's quite a few people around here. Now the West Canada is by and large, I think Western Canada is more uh, views it more favorably to joining the states, not necessarily giving up our sovereignty, but having much stronger relationships, a much more flexible border, and expanding the military protection to northern Canada much stronger than what we have been. And I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of people in the West that are open to that. The East Coast, not so much. And yeah, I think it's going to be different for the East Coast. Um, there's a lot of people in the West that would like much stronger relationships with America. I think it could be beneficial, and a lot of people think it could be a win-win. And I know that there's a lot of interest in it. I don't know.
I'm all for a stronger relationship. I'd love for us to be really good trading partners, but hardly who's
Hmm.
manufacturing anything anymore? We've got to bring all that back.
Yep,
We've
yep,
got to
that's right.
bring every bit of it back.
I agree. And Canada and America together, we used to cooperate a lot for manufacturing um, uh, during the war and after the war, World War II, I'm talking about. And
Hmm.
we used to be manufacturing powerhouses between the two countries with our resources and your people power. Yeah, we were a winning team. And I'd like to see that happen again. I think North America doesn't need the rest of the world. If we just pooled our resources and kept it in house, there's not much we need the rest of the world for. I don't think.
I'm all for that.
So John the Beagle Dad says, I call it the Trump effect. No matter if you believe in him or not, same thing with Musk, the Musk effect. It's definitely an effect, and it's called gunboat diplomacy. Yes, Max Redstone, it is indeed. I think we were talking about that the other night when we were offline. Zuckerberg was on Joe Rogan, was he? Skull of
Oh yeah,
Calderon. That's
Rogan
the
called him
interview,
out too. Rogan,
right?
Rogan. There's like just saw a
Yes,
very short clip where Rogan says something like,
right.
"So you've been lying to us for years, and now all of a sudden you're the
Yes,
good guy." And Zuck's just looking very
right.
sheepish.
That
It's pretty hilarious.
that's exactly it. Yes. And hey, from parts unknown, welcome. It's the first time here, Spider-Man from
Welcome.
Toronto, Ontario. Welcome,
Hmm.
absolutely welcome, Ontario.
It's a terrifying but bitching icon.
That's fun. And well, that's funny. If it's your first time here, how'd you get a wrench already? Huh. That's curious, isn't it? Well, welcome.
Hmm.
Yeah. What about that one lady who suggested that Washington, Oregon, and California would want to join Canada?
Was she in
Well,
the Congress?
yeah.
Is she Canadian or American?
I mean, we wouldn't really want Portland, um, or Los Angeles, really,
Nobody wants Portland.
Or San Francisco. But a lot of the people in the West do have more. This is repeated out here in the West time and time again. We have more in common with many parts of Washington State and Colorado and Oregon than we do with Toronto and Ottawa. Our thinking is different, much more closely aligned to the Western states than it is to Ottawa, which is 4,000 kilometers away or 3,000 miles away. That sentiment is repeated a lot up here too.
That's interesting.
Redstone. Yeah.
Yeah, the regionalism in America is pretty strong. You can just
Yep.
completely
Same here.
change zeitgeist and mindsets from,
Hmm.
every other state.
So Sashi says, I'm halfway around the world and I've seen the Apple video. Yeah, Pierre Polyev with the Apple, and that was awesome. Yeah. Uh, and one fast act two, defund the CBC. That is going to happen. Pierre Polyev has said he's going to do that. One of his very first things he's going to do is cut the government funding to the CBC, and they can apply for entertainment funding the same way as everyone else does.
Yeah, let me
And
make a point here.
yes,
The Canadian government doesn't fund just your public television. It also funds pretty much any entertainment company that wants to go to Canada to make a movie.
that's correct. Yep, that's correct.
Now, I'm
So
sure that, one hopes that they've done the math that that's bringing more money into Canada than Canada is funneling out.
I think
But
so.
but
Yep.
so many companies go there to make movies that I know there's
Mhm.
got to be some tremendous deals going on.
Yes, that's a good point. And not only movies, but our TV series that are produced in Canada.
Yes.
as well.
So
Now,
many of them.
the problem with CBC, the
And
Canadian
have been
Broadcasting
for
Corporation.
forever. I mean, all of X
Oh
Files,
yeah,
almost all of X Files was made in Canada,
yeah.
right?
Dark Angel as well
Mm-hmm.
was filmed there. But the problem with the CBC is it does now. TV and movie production does bring in more money than we subsidize. It makes money for us. CBC does not. It is a huge sinkhole for money. It has not made money in a very long time. And so I'm happy for them to apply for entertainment grants the same way that the Hollywood producers and the TV studios apply for it. But this partnership that they have with the government it's pretty much like the the Chinese Communist Party and their state funded media. It's not dissimilar. So I'd like to see it. Yeah, and let the Canadian people. There are a small percentage of Canadians that watch the CBC, and absolutely, if they want to contribute, the same way we pay for Netflix or any other entertainment, I'm happy for them to do that as well. But that is one of the first things he said he'd do. Now Pierre Poilievre also said that he thinks that Trump has a point in his criticism of in Canada's weak borders and Canada not contributing enough to our share of the military spending for the UN and NATO and so forth. Our military is pathetic, and our borders do need to be strengthened, and it's in our best interests. So some of the provincial premier for Ontario, Doug Ford, has come out saying, he's going to fight Trump and put tariffs again, and go to war against him. And so I have some other premiers and other, like even Trudeau is sort of combating Trump a little bit, where Pierre Poilievre is taking, I don't know how much you've seen of him, Tygerstripes, but he's taking the opposite approach and saying, well, Trump is actually raising some good points, and it's in our best interest to address them.
That's good to hear. I love that guy. He's just got such a measured demeanor.
Well,
he's just unflappable.
Yeah. He is, and he can certainly. I mean, I pity the poor reporter that tries to.
No pity here.
Yeah,
gotcha.
go on.
Play gotcha. That's all they're trying to do.
Well,
they're just trying to rattle people, so they'll say the wrong thing.
Yeah, and you got to expect that as a politician.
Quote
now,
wrong,
I
unquote.
Guess. Yeah, yep, that's right. Yes, PBS is paid for viewers like you. Red Dwarf was on there. Faulty Towers, Tygerstripes. Oh my God, that was funny.
Well, that was a BBC show, I imagine, right?
Yep, yeah, but PBS showed it. Yeah, that's the only place we could find it. Yeah. Old school Sesame Street, exactly. And hey, from Parts Unknown is saying hello.
Hi.
And grew up on PBS. Yeah, I think we did as well. We only had 3 channels. PBS Ontario, Yeah, PBS Edmonton. And we had PBS from Maine, from Bangor, Maine. And do you mind reading from Sashi, or I can if you?
No, I don't mind. Our media, Sashi says, our media used to be state funded, but is now mostly private. But it's still government controlled. Southeast Asian governments are in control even without funding. Yikes.
Yep. And Greek Letters says journalism is a news no one wants published. Otherwise, it's public relations. George Orwell. Big fan of George Orwell. I haven't read the whole book 1984, but I should. Yeah, had 3 television channels growing up. Same here. And one of them was in French. So that didn't help.
I think I had 2 growing up. 3 including PBS, but that kind of came along later. Well, there was just 2 when I was really small.
Right. Yep. Yeah, with the black and white TV that
not
you had to change the dial.
ABC would come in from San Antonio. You had to have an outdoor antenna on the roof.
Oh yeah,
in order to pull it in, and we didn't have that. Yep. So.
Yep. And Strange Brew is the movie by Bob and Doug McKenzie. Yes, that is a legendary movie. And Sashi says the only way the local government doesn't control the media is if it's not based here, and you must not have family to threaten here.
OMG.
Yep. No, China's like that too. the Chinese government is trying to influence Canadian politicians who have family back in China, and they are influencing them and threatening their family in China. So the Canadian government is, well, the Trudeau government has done butt kiss with that, but hopefully Pierre Poilievre gets briefed and takes some serious action. He also said that was something that he was going to look in. So how can we have an election? I'm predicting an election here at the end of March. How can we have an election if we know that we have, our own Secret Service has told us, CSIS, it's called up here. They've told us that there are foreign actors in our government, in our elected positions. So, yeah. Oh wow, you lived in the Great White North for 68 years, says Parts Unknown. That is fantastic.
Wow.
I bet you it's a lot different than when you were a kid, eh? Yeah. I probably made a deal with Joe. Well, he might have. And Donald Trump is absolutely a nut job, but they all are. That's
Yeah,
the
they
thing.
all are.
They all are. Jail Zuckerberg with Nancy Pelosi. You know what? That might happen after a fair
That
trial.
seems cruel.
After a fair trial. Oh, you mean together as cellmates? That would be fun. Well, if he identifies as a woman, he could go to jail with her. You never know. Skogley, it is great to see you here, Skogley. He says, I think it's super weird that people are mad at him now that he's not towing the line anymore. Seems kind of like a flake. I don't know if it's genuine, but, well, I think that's the question.
Well, I think his fear is very genuine. You can
his
kind of
fear
smell
is,
it coming off of him.
Yeah. And Rob Altus says, Trump is a nut because he goes against the grain and exposes these phonies. Okay. I think he meant phonies, not phones.
Just missing the I.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Strange Brew is a classic. And there's phonies right there. Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos.
Kang and Kodos.
Yeah, that's right, from Simpsons.
Yeah, such a great line.
And would you mind reading Skogley?
No. Skogley Chotun says, everybody knows that to solve your country's internal problems is to annex more land.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what Trump is proposing for that reason. That's so old school. I don't think that's a thing anymore. It's just, but it is hilarious.
Yes, I mean, yeah. I've always, ever since I was probably 20 years old, I went to university, and to help put myself through university, I had a snow plowing business out in the East Coast, and it's like minus 40 Celsius, minus 40 Fahrenheit there sometimes. It's cold. It's you're out snowplowing with broken equipment in the middle of the night, working on it, fixing it. I have a hate relationship with the cold, is my point. So I would love to have a more open relationship with the United States, where I could go down and live in Texas, love Texas, or Florida, one of the warmer states, and contribute. I don't mean to mooch. I mean to genuinely contribute.
Of course, yeah.
Open a business, maybe even employ some Floridians.
Without,
who knows?
Having to wait 7 years to do it, which is ridiculous.
That's exactly, and even maybe only for 6 months, and then come back up to Canada. In the summer times here in the Okanagan is gorgeous. Just everybody knows the summertime in Okanagan is incredible. But the winter, no, it's cold as hell out there. No. You have to put on 13 layers of clothes just to get outside. That's, that's, and I don't want to, I don't mean to raise any, but it's, I like to see bikinis, and there's only 2 months of the year where there's bikinis up here. So Florida, scuba diving as well, sandcastle building, all these things, you need warm weather for. So what do you think?
I'll tell you a secret here. At the local big public pool here, all the co-eds go topless.
Oh, see, that's an American thing. Canadians aren't really like that, except for Quebec.
I think it's an American university thing.
No,
it's just mostly university girls.
Yeah, Quebec is like that as well. Okay, and let's try to get back to uh, Rob Altus says Kang was my choice. He was a great Klingon. Yeah. Oh man, I do miss Deep Space Nine. That was such a good movie, or such a good series. So Max Redstone in the chat says Greenland, Panama, Northern Canada are all necessary to secure shipping routes against Russia and China. That would be smart. Yeah. Although Tygerstripes, have you seen in the news where I think it's both Mexico is building a super capacity train line to cross from the Atlantic to the Pacific, specifically designed to move containers off of ships across land, right across to the Pacific. And parts of Mexico are really narrow, so they're working on that. And also Nicaragua has a massive lake in part of its most narrow part. It's Lake Ometepe. It's got 2 volcanic islands which you can go and stay on. It's incredible. The hike up there is incredible. The point is they're trying to use that narrow part of Nicaragua as some sort of canal or river crossing, again to compete with the Panama Canal.
I mean, it's hard to
Interesting.
say, yeah, no, don't do that because you're going to impact your environment and completely wreck it.
Well,
And yet they're
mhm,
as entitled as any other country
mhm,
to wreck their environment in order to up their capital. So,
right.
yeah.
Well, I guess, I mean, how much did we redevelop the Great Lakes to turn them into navigable seaways? I think we did some work to them, didn't
Oh,
we?
in Texas, there's exactly one lake that is not man-made. One.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. They have designs for 57 star flag. No kidding. Well, I know my friend, the Comic Relief Crusader. He's got an excellent YouTube channel right here. Shout out to Mike and his channel. He was showing around a map that had an even 60, because I know the Americans like an even number. So it was an even 60 states. And although,
Wow, 10 more?
yeah,
No, I don't see that.
right.
I don't see
Well,
that
because we have
happening.
we have 10 provinces and they're all huge,
I
right?
mean, not unless we went for Mexico, Canada.
Yeah.
God, no, I just don't see it
Yeah.
happening. We don't need
And how
10
would
more.
do you think that now I've got some Quebec friends. I've got some good friends that are Quebecer. They're living out here in British Columbia, but a lot of the Quebecers in Quebec, um, they aren't happy. They want special
They want to
privileges.
secede.
They want to secede. They
Yeah.
think that they are God's gift to the earth,
I've heard
and
they're real mean in
well, they can
French
be.
Canada. I've
Now
heard that
that's only half of them.
they
The
won't
other
talk
half
to
of
you
them are
unless you speak
wonderful.
French, and then if you do speak French, they kind of sneer and laugh at you for speaking
That's
it so poorly.
half of them
That's
are like that. Yeah,
that's I heard that
and
very
and
recently.
I don't think America would put up with that shit. You would tell that if we became part of America, I think you'd tell Quebec to shove it or take a hike pretty quick. That would
We've
be
got
interesting.
snooty people here too, but that's classism is not something that we do much of here in America.
No,
Not the
no,
way that it's done in
no.
Europe. People always,
It is the longest
scream
border in the
about
world.
racism here. I'm like, hey, go to Europe, go to China, go check out
Yep.
the racism and classism there because it's going to make your head spin.
And Greek letters is feeling left out. I think he feels insulted that the orange-haired mobster doesn't want to buy out Greece. I mean, now it's a bargain. Well, that's true. Actually, now that you mentioned that, this year it's my New Year's resolution. I'd like to go to Greece this year because I know the Canadian dollar goes pretty far in Greece. That they're suffering from a weak economy. Greece has
I can
had
remember
some.
quite a few years ago, I think Tina Fey was still on Saturday Night Live, and she was doing the news, and she was doing a news piece on the Greek economy. And she says, well, I called my mother and said, Mom, why is it that Greece is not, raising taxes on people? And her mother said, what? I don't understand what you're saying. We don't have a word for that in Greece. So I don't know
Man,
how true that is, but
I, I just think the Greek lifestyle appeals to me, the island lifestyle and the food and yeah, being next to the ocean and the history, Tiger Stripes. I'm pretty
Spectacular
sure you're
history.
you're a history, a
Well,
lifelong
I understand
history
they came
student as
before the
well.
Romans, so I know a little bit
Yeah.
about them. And I was very
Yeah.
big into Greek mythology as a child.
Ooh. So Canada does have natural resources. You're absolutely right,
Oh, yeah.
FKHC. I think California needs Canadian water big time.
Oh, California. Well, California has water, and the government
Hmm.
there
Yeah,
has made a
it
choice
is.
to
It
funnel it
does.
all into the ocean and has
I've
been
heard
doing
that.
that for
Yes,
probably a century.
yes, that is fantastic.
So
Yeah, for the smelt.
I know
Mexico
not
is
just not
manufacturing
just that
things.
though. They decided that like 100 years ago. I
Oh,
think
okay.
for political control over the population,
Yep.
like in the
Yeah.
movie
Yep.
Chinatown.
100%. You're right. Mexico is manufacturing things. Max Redstone. I spent the winter down there, 5 months down there, two winters or yeah, a year and a half ago, and they are industrious. They are booming down there, and I'm not sure what you're agreeing with, but yeah, agreed. FKHC says back in the day before ICBMs, the US and Canada could survive a nuclear war, basically. Well, because we're so far away, I suppose.
Back in what day though? I remember having a lot of
70s.
nuclear fear in the 80s because at the time they said that if
Yeah,
one went up, they would all go up.
that's
And that's
right.
the kind of thing
Yeah,
that it's hard to come back from. A total
Reagan
blackout of
and
the sun,
Gorbachev.
something like that. Hard
That
to. I just read something the other day
yes,
that gave the numbers that said I mean, what the number of nuclear weapons out there now is a fraction of what it was in the 80s. So I
that's
don't
right.
know who
Yeah,
did all that good work. I heard that Reagan added to
Reagan,
that,
Reagan and Gorbachev. Yeah,
but God bless them.
yeah,
It's a
that's
relief
right.
to hear. It's
And
not a
that's exactly what
complete
would happen.
comfort, but it's better than it was.
You're right. Blocking, even if we weren't impacted directly, because I'm in the countryside. I'm like 5 hour. I'm like 500 kilometers or 300 miles from Vancouver at least. So I wouldn't, if they got hit or in Seattle, we wouldn't be affected here from the blast. But you raise a good point, blocking out the sun. And apparently, funny you say that because I just saw it on YouTube. It was talking about the year. I think was it 526 or five? I think it was 526 AD. There was volcanic activity that blocked out the sun for an entire year, and
Probably
basically,
Pompey. No, I think
uh,
Pompey was like 42
no,
AD.
yeah, it was. Yeah, no, it wasn't Pompeii. It was somewhere else, and it
That
decimated the
massive
population
meteor
on
hit
Earth.
in Siberia, wasn't there a
Yeah,
massive meteor hit
yeah,
in Russia?
and it blocked out the sun for a year, and with crop failures, and it nearly wiped out the entire human population. So that is the concern, 100%. Yeah. Well, fortunately, we have other forms of energy, but and do you mind reading this, or is this a bit much?
No, I can give it a shot.
Thanks.
Sashi says the Portuguese did gunboat diplomacy over here in the 1500s. They took over Malacca to control the straits. Just pulled up and said, "Nice castle. It would be a shame if something happened to it."
Ah, yeah, right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Ooh. Apple guy indeed. Film Canada, yes, they apply for grants, and but I think what did we give the CBC? I believe the taxpayers funded the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation to the tune of 1.4 billion. That's with a B. $1.4 billion to the CBC last year,
Well,
something
I mean,
like
here
that.
in America, that's chump change.
Well, but we're one. So you got to add
They've
a
given what
zero.
hundreds of billions of dollars
Yeah.
to the Ukraine war
Oh
now.
yeah,
Hundreds
yeah.
of billions of dollars. Hundreds
That's
of billions of
insane.
dollars. It's just
Orphan Black, I
nuts.
believe,
It's
was
completely
filmed in
nuts.
Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we're giving a lot to Ukraine. We're 1/10 the size of you, so $1 million to us, or 1
You mean
billion
like
is like
population
10.
wise?
That's right. And our
Oh,
economy as well. Just everything is
mm-hmm.
about 1/10 scale.
Sure.
So 1 billion to us is like 10 billion to you. I think our whole entire economy is only, I want to say 700 billion. I want to say 700 billion. Yeah, it's less than a trillion by far, our entire GDP. Wayne Gretzky for prime minister. Well, he is one fellow that every Canadian respects in every single province. Yeah.
I saw Gretzky in a restaurant once.
No way.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Didn't he marry that little
Uh-huh.
actress who was also an Olympic star? Like what was she?
Oh,
A gymnast?
I don't follow that type of thing, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they and their family were at an Italian restaurant that I was at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
China is trying to influence all media. You're absolutely right, Rob Altus. They really are. They are trying to, and if you watch the China Show, which is a YouTube channel that's really popular, and I know, Rob Altus, that you do watch the China Show, because I see you and Max Redstone and Daphne Devine in there, and quite a few other people. They are intentionally trying to influence Canadians and Americans and get us to actively hate our own countries and our own governments, and
Oh,
they
they're
want us.
trying to kill us,
They
and
want
they
us
have
to think
succeeded.
capitalism is failed, and yeah,
And
you're absolutely right.
they have succeeded. I don't quite get that because
Oh yeah,
I feel like communism's not the order of the day anymore in China, not old school Maoist communism, unless it's really
no,
lying beneath the surface of everything.
they're
I think their
capitalists.
people want to be free. Their
They
people
do.
enjoy working and making money, but I don't get what's going on in China. I really don't.
Well, right now their economy is crashing, and I don't know if you've been following it, but AI. They've been using AI to determine the population of China isn't what China has been telling us it is. They are calculating that China's population is not 1.2 billion. It's more like 800 million. And that might explain why some of their numbers don't mesh up, and why their economy is not doing so well right now. They're hurting, and because the Asian culture, not necessarily only China, but I saw this in Japan too. It's all about face saving, if you know what I mean by that.
I do know what
But
that means.
yeah, by saving one's own, public appearance, and the Japanese government. While I was living there, it was evident that they would put their own people's safety at risk in order to save face, and I think China's the same way. You know.
Well, I know that China will put their own people at risk just to make, say, an extra nickel a sale.
Hmm.
Yeah, like putting, what's the word? Melamine in their baby formula.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, to say the least of
And
things.
yeah, but I was watching Antique Roadshow PBS the other day, and
Hmm.
somebody came in with a robe that they thought was Japanese, an antique
Oh yeah,
robe, and I was like, "Oh no, that
yeah,
robe's Chinese." I just knew immediately that robe's not
yeah, yeah.
Japanese; it's Chinese. And the person's talking about it, and at some point they say, "See, there's a bat in every corner on this robe, and a bat is a symbol of wealth in China."
Oh,
And I had
and
never
not in
made that
Japan.
I have never made that connection before,
Hmm.
but I know that this whole COVID thing, ostensibly, the people that created it, when they were asked flat out, "What are you going to do with this?" And they said, "Oh, we're going to set it off in caves of bats." And I'm like, "Well, why the hell would you want to kill
Uh
off your
huh.
bat population? Because they're so important ecologically.
That's right. They
Why
are. Yeah.
would you do that?"
Huh.
And it's a shabby excuse. It's a shabby reasoning. But now I make this connection. I'm like, is this something to do with bats being a symbol of wealth? What the hell is
Oh.
going on here on some kind of superstitious, low-lying folk level?
Well, that
What's
that's
happening
exactly.
here?
And
What?
superstition is pretty. It's a thing in Asia and China in particular. Yeah, yeah. And Greek letters says, "Gay Spider-Man, the Chinese premier Xiao Ziping sends his regards." Oh yeah, no doubt we're gonna get yeah, probably start to get throttled and thrown off YouTube here pretty quick. And Sashi says the Chinese started influencing other countries by funding projects and causing it to go over budget. You miss the payments and they start taking over infrastructure. I've heard of this, Sashi, and you saw it in Sri Lanka years ago, yes. And I've heard that has been taking place in Africa as well. And not only that, but a lot of the projects that they are building, the contractors are basically taking the money and putting in substandard materials and building it really cheap and taking off with the rest of the money. So that's, I mean, corruption is rampant. So that's a problem. Come to Florida. We can visit the Kennedy Space Center. I've been to the Kennedy Space Center. That was in 2019 when I was seeing a woman from Boston, and we drove all the way down for New Year's from Boston to Kennedy Space Center.
Ah, that's
Yeah, it was
nice.
amazing.
How
Yeah,
romantic.
it was. It's really massive. You've got to take a bus all the way around the thing, and yeah, it was incredible. I really enjoyed this.
Everything in Florida is huge.
I love the climate in Florida too, and I've never.
They got all that marshland at bargain rates.
I'd love to go scuba diving in both Texas and Florida. I've heard the scuba diving is good. Gators, yeah, no, I'm not too.
Yes.
I'm used to gators in Australia. The
No,
saltwater crocodiles are
pass. I don't want anything
pretty.
to do with them. No, thank you.
Yeah, they're pretty big. I do. Yeah, one of the benefits of Los Angeles. Yes, I can imagine. Oh man, if you're in Los Angeles, Rob, man, I feel for you. That's not good. Everything is shrinking. Oh, well, you should see a doctor about that, I guess. Greek letters. I mean, it happens. Oh, everything is shrinking nowadays. Bikini. Oh my goodness, yes. If I had a daughter, she wouldn't be going out of the house in a bikini. Not in what they're selling today. All they have to do is make the stars smaller.
The flag, the American flag in
Oh,
60 states
gotcha,
versus 50.
gotcha.
I
Yep,
think that's what that was about.
yep. I good. Yes, excellent. Do not come over here. It's a shit. No, just to visit. I want to see the Acropolis and the Greek islands and see all of that. I mean, Canada's not that awesome right now, but if someone was coming over just to visit, I could recommend a few things for them to see. Hmm. The infamous Delta smelt. Yes, Rob Altus, that's exactly the fish we were talking about. Yeah, in the California wildfires. John the Beagle
Ah,
Dad says,
good night.
have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
And when you mainly had bombers dropping the nukes, yes, and now they come from submarines and all sorts of platforms. Yeah. Exactly, DJ Ronnie G. The inland silos might as well be decoys. Good luck in finding a nuclear sub. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, which is a good thing. We deploy a number in the Pacific, and that's an excellent deterrent. Now that Pandora's box has been opened, I think deterrence is maybe the way to go. Yeah, I don't know. And yes, happy birthday. Ooh, and would you mind reading this from our friend DJ?
Sure. DJ Ronnie G says Imperial Japan was a bulwark against communism in Japan. They just had a couple of issues.
That's
That's
right.
good to know.
Yeah, I did. I went to the Yasukuni Shrine in Tokyo, and also there's a museum that's dedicated to World War II in Tokyo, and I went through there, and expecting to get a lot of evil looks from the Japanese people there because I look American as far as they're concerned, but not no. I didn't feel any animosity or any stink eyes at all while I was in there. So I think that's good. But they do have a section in there about how communism was a threat in Japan. So that was a thing. China constantly tries to interfere in Taiwanese media. Yep, I'm not surprised. Sashi says it's the same all over Asia. Admitting failure is a weakness. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, the face saving. And I'm only most familiar with China and Japan and Thailand. I didn't want to make any assumptions about Indonesia or Malaysia. It doesn't matter the cost, right? Including the cost of their own citizens' lives. Yeah. Any government that takes over becomes oppressive against its populace. Yep. Sadly, yeah. And Sashi says China tried to do it in Malaysia as well because the Straits of Malacca is an important one to trade. They were giving loans to the previous government. Okay, and when they forfeit on their loans, then that infrastructure becomes Chinese property. Right. Yeah. Okay, Rob Alta says, I'm not near the fires, but the air is bad. There was a fire in the Hollywood Hills that was closest to me. Okay, that was my question. Tygerstripes, I was going to ask, is Hollywood on fire, or has all the Hollywood studios
No,
survived?
yeah, Runyon Canyon was on either is or was on fire. I only just learned
Okay,
that today. And I've been looking
okay,
at maps and trying to keep track, but that's something that I saw somebody talking about on Twitter. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that Runyon Canyon's, in a very nice part of town up the hill, kind of
okay,
right in
right.
between Beverly Hills and the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah, that
So
is. I understand that. That's a huge. I mean,
at
the
least I
last
believe that's where Runyon Canyon is. I've always wanted to go and never have.
interesting. I'd love to do a road trip. Fires are something that we in British Columbia are really familiar with. And I mean, Jasper uh, ski resort burned down last year. And again, it's from a lot of the same issues that California is
Oh,
facing.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say this
Forestry.
right now. I'm going to get it out.
Yeah.
It's arson. This is all arson.
Yep. Yep.
It's
A
not,
lot of it is.
yeah, you can
Yep.
say forest fires, you can say forestry could stop it, you can say there's not
Yep.
enough water, there's all kinds of governmental reasons, but this is arson. And I
Yep.
believe it might even be terrorism.
Same thing
And I
is
ain't afraid to
happening.
say so.
No, it happened. There were these environmental wingnuts and they're facing charges. They've caught them. They're going to trial. One in the biggest fire in all of Nova Scotia. That
Uh,
was an environmental wingnut that wanted to convince people that the earth is burning and we
hmm
should, follow,
Right.
pay the carbon tax and follow all the liberal wingnut policies. The same in Quebec and in British Columbia. They are prosecuting a bunch of people for arson. Absolutely.
Well, I
And
hope they
that's,
put them away and don't let them out
yep,
forever in a day.
yep,
And I
exactly.
say this too because I did live in LA for decades,
Oh, you did?
and I oh
Okay.
yes, and I would see this happen over and over where you get these fires, and the media says nothing, the fire department says
Mhm.
nothing, the cops say nothing, because they're
Yeah,
trying
that's
to
right.
catch the individual. Although that
Yep.
still drives me crazy when they don't let the population know what's going on, and
Yep.
every single time it's arson. It's always
Hello.
some lunatic.
It seems to be the way up here too, Tiger Stripes. And hello, I want to say good
Old Man
evening to Old
Bird.
Man Bird. Yeah, good to see you. And you're right. It is a whole bunch of things, Sashi. You're
Yes, but
not
it's one
kidding there.
person who starts a fire, or two or
Yep.
three in this
They've got
situation.
they've got videotapes of homeless people starting some of the fires as well down in California that I've seen. So they've got the video footage.
hmm
Hopefully they do something with it. Uh, so DJ Ronnie G is just on his earlier comment about the Japanese government having issues. He said when I said a couple of issues, I mainly meant mean that the fact the military basically ran the country after a couple of pre-war coups. I'm assuming you're talking about Japan. Yeah, Japan had the same government, the LDP, the Liberal Democratic Party, I believe that stood for 45 consecutive years in Japan. They had elections, but the same party kept getting elected every single time for 45 years. It's changed since then. But when I was living there, I can remember thinking, well, that doesn't seem like a democracy then if you've had the same government for 45 years. The elections maybe aren't as transparent. Yeah. Yes, there you go. Imperial Japan was a bulwark against communism in Japan. They just had a couple of issues. Yeah. Like the military running their government for a while. Yeah. That's right. Okay, well, we're up on 1 hour exactly. We're to the bottom of the chat. Is there anything going on that you want to expand upon at Tygerstripes?
No, I think we're hitting all the bases. It's too bad that Thunderheart didn't show up.
Yeah, he gets up early and goes for a run, and then right around this time he falls asleep sometimes, and then wakes up at
Sure.
like 1 a.m. or
Mhm.
So that's happened before. But I'm glad you were able to come on. Thank you
yeah,
so
no,
much.
thanks for having me up. It's kind of
Yeah,
nice
of
to get
course.
it off my chest and to just be able to,
Yep,
shoot the breeze and
absolutely.
talk
Yeah.
issues.
Oh, okay. DJ Ronnie G says, I meant in Asia, not in Japan. Sorry for the typo. Okay. Yeah, there was a few issues. Yeah. Well, in Asia, yeah, a lot of the countries are run by their military. If not for the influence of America on the Philippines, I'm not sure the Philippines would be as democratic, as they are. Yeah, you remember the name Imelda Marcos and her shoe collection, Tygerstripes?
Oh, very much, very much.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I think they pilfered a lot of the wealth of the people. And do you mind reading this from our friend Old Man Beard?
I will, but I have to sleep tonight. Old
Yeah,
Man
no,
Bird
I'm going
says,
to bed
and I
as well.
believe he's talking about California: fire, earthquakes, economic devastation due to illegal immigration and benefits programs, homelessness, rolling blackouts due to over environmental regulation, lack of water. Yep.
California. Yep, you nailed it. You
And
nailed it.
it
And
is heartbreaking.
good night to you.
It is heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking to watch what's going on there. It absolutely is. Because I've driven. We have forest fire regions up here, and you drive through them, and it wipes out entire neighborhoods, entire communities.
It has wiped out
Yeah.
really beautiful old parts of
Yes.
Los Angeles County, which is where Alhambra is. It's the other side of Pasadena, and it's so beautiful there. And I used to spend a certain amount of time there in my youth. I had a beau who lived there and friends in this great old house, great old craftsman house, which very likely isn't there anymore.
Oh, man.
And it looks like a war zone when you see the footage now. It's just shocking.
DJ Ronnie G says, this too is true, Sashi. I definitely am challenged to be succinct in my comments, but it does carry the price of oversimplifying or leaving out additional details that would give a clearer picture. Absolutely. That is, if you need to make it over the course of 2 or 3 comments, we will read them all, DJ. And Rob Altus says, I used to live in Alhambra, California.
You know how beautiful it is there.
I thought you said Alhambra because I'm only familiar with Alhambra as in the incredible Moorish castle in southern Spain is Alhambra. And that is one of the most amazing things I've seen.
A lot of the place names in Los Angeles are Spanish.
Okay, right.
Like Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Los
all right.
Angeles.
Oh, of course. Of course, yeah. Yeah, no, I'd love to do someday a road trip down through the entire western United States and go see all of that. Yeah. Sashi says, but have you heard of Rosma Mansour, the former First Lady of Malaysia, and her handbags? She had one of the biggest collections of Birkin bags, I believe. Wow.
Well, yeah, some people collect shoes, some people collect purses.
What's Birkin? Is that a big name? I'm guessing that's a
Yeah.
big
Oh,
name.
no, a Birkin purse is
Yeah.
four
I,
figures, four figures for
yeah.
a purse.
Yeah. I know Milwaukee and Stanley and Rigid. Yes. Okay. Awesome. And yes, they are eating Los Gatos, Greek letters. Funny, not funny. But yes, that's right. Okay, because that is spelled the same way. That makes sense with the Spanish influence in California.
Hmm.
Well, it'd be a good chance to practice my Spanish. I know enough Spanish to embarrass myself and order food. That's about it. You can talk a little bit conversation, but yeah. I just hope everything goes well in California, and I hope that whatever the causes are, that they can find a way somehow to solve them for the future.
Well,
And
I hope it starts raining there. That's all I can say.
well, yeah, lots of rain and maybe a lot more mental. I mean, we've shut down all the mental health facilities in Canada. Maybe that needs to, and it shows. Maybe
I
that's part of
think
it.
this was a concentrated terror attack. I really
Yeah.
do. I
But
really
then you
do.
get bandwagon crazies that oh, this is burning, and I might as well just go burn something just to be destructive to add to it. I'm sure, but hopefully
I
they
don't
can
know.
solve
I
it.
haven't really looked into the timeline. It just looks to me like all of these different, very far apart
Mm-hmm.
places in LA County and LA City just started to burn all at once.
Yeah.
And, uh, you know, that sounds to me like a coordinated effort.
Well,
I don't know.
they
And what's more, I don't believe
yeah
they'll ever tell us, even
no,
if it was.
and the environmentalists would love it if we were all as worried and terrified of the planet burning up as they are. So yeah, it serves their interest, I suppose.
I don't know how burning down thousands and thousands and thousands of people's homes that have been standing for 100 years serves anybody.
Well, it makes us all scared of climate change, doesn't it? And
Only if you buy that that's the reason
well,
for it. And I ain't buying it.
I know, of course, because you have a brain between your ears, and most people here do, I think. It never rains in Southern California. Is that an Eagles song?
It pours, man, it pours. No, it's not an Eagle song. Normally, I'm able to think of it's one guy
Yeah.
who wrote the song
Oh,
and
is it?
performed it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a
Oh,
great
it's
song
like
though.
Van Morrison or one of those guys.
I think he's an American. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this was Terror Max Redstone. Well, Max Redstone is a political minded fellow, and it wouldn't surprise me if you probably know something I don't, Max. And yeah, Rob Altus is a big agreement with you, Tygerstripes.
Oh, thank you, Old Man Bird.
Yep,
Well,
yep. We'll
I mean,
remember.
I've been
We called
saying
it.
this ever since they kind of started because I just saw too many fires in Griffith Park started by one person. And until they caught that SOB, they never owned up to the fact that it was
Right.
arson. They just kept saying, well, we're having fires breaking out because of
Because
this, because of the heat,
they
because
didn't
of
want panic.
homelessness. But it was one guy, one lunatic. But this is more than that, I think. This is more than that. Well, that's
And would you,
fascinating, Sashi.
yeah, do you mind
Random
reading that,
fact.
please?
Yeah, I'd love to. Sashi says, random fact. The movie Wolf of Wall Street was funded by cash stolen from Malaysia. DiCaprio had to return the stuff he got, ordered by the U.S. Justice Department.
Wow.
That's kind of mind bending. What's your source on that?
Wow. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Oh, I wonder if Gary Ambrosia knows anything about that. Hmm. Hale. Oh, hey, West Kegel. Hi.
Wes Kegel.
Yeah, we've been going for about an hour, and Tiger Stripes and I were just talking about, well, all kinds of
This, that, and
things,
the
really.
other.
I do, as far as the Ukraine and Israel and all of that business goes. I just want people to stop dying. You know, as someone that would never go and fight just because the government says to. I want the guys and the girls that are over there to just stop all fighting, stop the dying. If the politicians want to go and stab each other with bayonets, let the politicians do it. But I just want the people, the citizens, to stop dying. That's it.
Okay, here's my thing. I feel like everybody knows this. Israel has for quite a long time really had their
Mm-hmm.
back up, ever since World War II
Mm-hmm.
and Israel became a thing. And they've always had this sort of manifesto. I don't think they ever put it into words, but it's pretty clear that it's what they're doing. If you take one of us, we will take 10 of you. And it's not
That's
even
yep.
mathematical, it's exponential.
Right.
If you take 10 of
Yes.
us, we will take 1,000 of you.
It's like it's
If
meant
you
to be a
take
deterrent.
1,000 of us, we will take 500,000 of you.
No.
And that appears to be what's happening right now.
Hello, Duke the Legend. Hello
And
and welcome.
I haven't really looked into it, but I have heard that before they bomb, in Gaza, Israel puts out a notification to the populace there to clear out the area that they
That's
are.
what I've heard. Yep.
And again, I don't really know it or not,
Yeah.
but that's what I hear. And it sounds like they are fighting this as honorably as anybody can fight a horrific war. And I don't know what it takes to
Ooh.
stop that. We will see if Trump can put his money where his mouth is. But
I hope so. Yeah.
you
As a
know,
man of fighting age, yeah,
but
I
I
hope so.
saw I looked at the atrocities that were done on that October day. I
Yep.
watched the footage, I looked at photos, and these are photos that these terrorists released themselves. They were very proud of the
Oh, they're
work they were
proud of it.
doing. They put it out
Absolutely.
there on Instagram.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's subhuman behavior. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
As a
then you see the people, in Gaza cheering for it, cheering for those kind of atrocities having been performed, cheering
that's what I
for
can't
that kind
abide
of
with.
horrific
Yeah.
murder and rampage and rape
Mhm.
and atrocities being committed.
Yeah.
And you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
I
And no
don't
matter
know.
who, yeah,
You're going to
no
come
matter who
up
does it,
against Israel. You are going to reap the whirlwind. I don't know
they've
what it's
made
going to
that
take. I don't know what it's going to take to stop. I don't know.
clear. They've made that clear for a long time. Yeah, that if you do this, we will come back against you tenfold. So that
Oh, more
we've
than
known that
that.
for decades. Yeah, we've
More
known
than,
that for
yeah, for
decades.
decades. For decades. And
Not that it's
it's,
right, but they've made it known, so it
I don't
shouldn't be a
know. I don't know
surprise.
how to stop this. I don't know. I mean, they've only
Yes,
been doing it since prehistorical times,
well, that's it.
prehistory. They've
Ooh,
hated each other. I don't
well,
know how
here's
to stop
Sashi's
it.
source. Sashi
Hmm.
says there was a documentary on the money stolen to make the Wolf of Wall Street, based on a book called Billion Dollar Whale, I believe. There are records online by the U.S. Justice Department. It was big news down here. Well, I imagine
That's
it would be big
fascinating.
news, and
Now,
not.
is this sort of a scam thing where somebody says we're taking money to make a movie and we're going to return you a hundred
Oh,
dollars for every dollar that you put in? Is it something
right.
like that? And then they just never,
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a lot of that goes
Well,
on in Hollywood, so
of
much.
of course, it would make big news down there.
That's
Yeah, that's
fascinating.
interesting.
I'll look it up. I'll look it
Yeah.
up.
And now I
Billion
wish I
Dollar
could.
Whale is a great title for a book.
I know. I wish I could read Indonesian. Although I do know a girl. Greek letter says yes, Tiger Lady. IDF is fighting honorably by committing genocide. Well, they've been pretty clear on their policies. You fuck with us, and we'll do you 100 times worse. For decades, they've been saying that.
pretty much
They-
since Israel's been there.
yeah,
But
it's not a
at least
secret. They
Israel's
said
been
they
there
would do that.
since World War II. Israel was a
Yeah.
country before, back in the day.
But I just want the fighting to stop. I don't care who's right.
Biblically.
Yeah, it'd be just stop the dying, basically, on all sides. Stop the Palestinians from dying. Stop the Israelis from dying. Let the politicians, big octagon, put all the politicians in an octagon. Let them do
I
that.
really don't know. When I look at, too, how Israel has encroached into Palestine since it was established,
Right.
geographically, physically,
Mhm.
and, that doesn't seem right either. And I don't know what you do about that.
No.
Who says
Well,
no to them?
It's a complicated and an emotional subject. Fortunately, everyone in our chat, we are all adults here,
Yeah.
and we can agree to have different opinions. We're not children, and we can all have different opinions. So that is what I do like about this group. And Rob Altus says there are groups cheering the fires on in California. I have heard that, and
Oh my God, I had
I
not
don't
heard
even know what
that.
to I don't
I
even
had
know what
not
to
heard
say
that,
about
but
that.
I would like to witness that with my own
Yeah.
eyes.
Ooh, the guy who was the middleman is still on the run. Look up a person called JHO. I don't know how to pronounce that. Joe La. Interesting.
Interesting, very
That
interesting.
Sashi. Wow, you're full of interesting stuff every time you come here. Thank you. And DJ Ronnie G says, I do appreciate the Israeli no nonsense attitude. Sometimes it seems like it would only a long way towards feeding animosity. There's a lot of animosity down there. Yeah, it's complicated. And yes, hello, PS2 Chipper. Max Redstone says, if Israel is committing genocide, it is the most poorly planned genocide in history. Okay. And Old Man Bird says, Greek letters, we can move them to Mykonos if Egypt won't take them. I'm sure they won't attack Sparta. Funny you say that, Old Man Bird. I've never known where Sparta used to be. Where is Sparta? I know it doesn't exist anymore. Is there any town where Sparta used to be, or is it just non-existent?
Wasn't Sparta Thrace? I always think of that old line from On the Way to the Forum. Funny thing happened on the way to the Forum about Milos Gloriosos, where someone says he raped Thrace thrice. But I think that Sparta was Thrace.
That rings a bell. Yeah, maybe.
The Spartans.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And I'd like to go see those islands. Okay. Sashi continues saying state funds were siphoned by the Prime Minister and used to fund vanity projects and her Birkin fixation. We're still recovering. The book is in English, and it's written by a U.S. investigative journalist. Well, then I don't have to learn Indonesian.
I have to go to Amazon and bookmark this book, $1 Billion Whale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go see.
And Greek letters, I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. If they wanted to stop the dying, it's super easy. Stop funding and supporting Israel. I agree. I don't think Canada should be supporting money. We shouldn't be supporting any wars. I don't think Canada should be sending money to Ukraine. I don't think we should be sending money to Israel. We have a lot of problems in Canada we need to focus on right here. We don't have the money to help anybody else. And I certainly don't like the idea of us buying ammunition that's used to kill guys just like me over there. That I'd rather have a pint of beer with these guys, not shoot them with ammunition that I purchased. No. I agree with that, Greek letters, 100%. Oh, and Greek letter says Mykonos is for the very wealthy and the very gay only. That is good to know. Okay. Interesting. Huh. Alrighty. Well, it'd be nice to go see. I don't know. But anyway, Tiger Stripes, we've been about an hour and 20 minutes. And although the chat is fantastic,
Yeah, the chat's on fire.
it's 11 p.m. here, Pacific time. So I think we're caught up with the chat. I think I'm good to call
All
it
right. Okay.
a
Sounds
night.
good. Thanks. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
night. Thanks for having me
Yeah.
on.
Oh, of course. And I'm
Yeah.
just checking to see if Rod has
Wakey,
messaged. And
wakey,
there's
Rod.
yeah,
Wakey,
no, I think
wakey.
he must have fallen
That's all
asleep.
right.
So
That's good.
that's all
Sleep
right.
tight,
Yeah,
Rod.
that's okay, Rod. We'll
Yes.
do it again later. And I'm going to just
All
end the
right.
stream.
Good
Chat.
night.
Thanks so much
Good
for
night,
being
chat.
here.
Good night.
We're gonna play it.